Hello and welcome to the SRAM Send It Series. Matthew Keenan with you, joined as always by Rihanna Crean. And Rihanna, this course that they're racing across tonight, anybody who is an early adapter to Zwift will know this course well around the Watopia Hilly circuit.
Hey Matt, great to be with you once again for race 6 of the SRAM Send It Series. Yes, it's going to be a short, sharp one tonight, 2 laps of the Watopia Healy circuit, and it's going to be brutal. It's going to be tough. There's a couple of little climbs, but it's going to be quick.
We expect a really fast start. That climb that you referred to, that does come early on. So far, this series and the National Road Series, it's been the Vine show. In the Women's Series, it's Brie Vine who leads the series overall. She's got a commanding advantage. She's on 91 points, so she's 29 clear of Brie Wilson. It's then Antoinette de Jong, who didn't race last week, followed by Nicole Frayne, Katie Benergy, Laura Luxford, Chelsea Holmes, and then we have Jen Arnold, Annabelle Luxford, so the two sisters inside the top 10, and Justine Barrow rounding out 10th position. Let's cut a deal. Let's not say that Justine Barrow can win today, because every time we have, we've mozzed her.
I know we've put a lot of pressure on Justine Barrow's back over the last couple of weeks, and unfortunately for her, I think we've put the moz on her. We've put the commentator's curse on her back, so we've made a deal. We're not going to mention her name at all, not because we don't want to talk about her, but we don't want to give her that pressure. But Brie Vine finally last week, she got that victory done. She'd been, unfortunately, the bridesmaid across the series so far, but finally got that gold medal around her neck last week, and I'm sure that she enjoyed the success of that win.
I enjoyed watching her win. After 3 second place finishes, you couldn't help but want to see her get a win. So second, fourth, and first, with this advantage that she's got, 3 races to come, including tonight, it's going to be hard to overhaul her.
Yeah, she's been completely dominant so far in this series and, of course, in the NRS series as well. Both herself and her husband, Jay, who have been very fortunate enough to be able to be a bit of a fly on the wall in their house across both series. And I think we get that opportunity again tonight. We've been very lucky to sort of jump in, be a bit of a cheer squad for both of Jay and Brie across the series. So I think she's going to be one to watch again tonight. She's been so strong. She's had a lot of support behind her, and she's definitely going to be one that we'll be looking for tonight.
We've already had the sneak peek. We've seen her warming up with her husband. I was a little worried they might be wearing out instead of warming up, but this will be an explosive start. We're down to around about 30 seconds before they get underway. We head down to the pens. In fact, less than that, just 10 seconds before they roll out race number 6 in the SRAM Send It Series. It's Brie Vine who leads the series overall ahead of Brie Wilson, and then the Dutch woman Antoinette de Jong in 3rd position. This, we expect, Rihanna, will be a quick start. And look at the power output already up in towards the 300 mark. They are full gas right at the very start.
Yeah, and as we know, the girls have been down in those pens warming up for probably about half an hour, as we've sort of come to expect in the last couple of weeks. They like to get down there nice and early, get themselves warmed up, and it's really crucial at the start of these races to get those watts nice and high, build some huge amount of power, and then get themselves in a really good position at the start of this race. We've talked about how quick we predict this race will be. It's very short, very sharp, 18 kilometers in total distance. There's 2 laps around the Watopia Healy route. And fun fact, Matt, this was one of the very first courses that Zwift ever brought out.
So there'll be plenty of people that know this course really well. And look at the heart rates already. We're on board with Brie Playel. She's up towards the 180 beats per minute mark. She was really good last week when she finished in 11th position, which unfortunately for her had her just outside the points. So she missed out on scoring points last week, but she's in some pretty good form.
And these girls are pushing out some serious power at the very start of this race. And we're very fortunate to have Hannah Ludwig from the Canyon SRAM World Tour team in the race here tonight as well. So great to see some international girls into the race this evening. We've also been following Lauren Kitchen on Zwift Instagram throughout the day as well, and she's joining the race. She's been letting the Instagram followers giving a bit of an insight into her day throughout the today, her warm-up on her bike, what she's been eating throughout the day, and of course the lead up into tonight's race. So very fortunate for all of the Zwift community to get a bit of an insight on the behind the scenes of Lauren's day.
And she's the rider that has put together the playlist, the Zwift workout playlist. And Lauren Kitchen, she's represented Australia at World Championships countless times. Hannah Ludwig, who you mentioned, rides for Canyon SRAM in the SRAM Send It Series. She's up towards the front. We're on board with her at the moment. She rode the race last week, and she was pretty good. She finished in 8th position. She was in the second group. Last week, we had a group of 7 go through to the finish line. I'm not sure that's going to be the case this week. I think that on this course, we might see a bigger group make it through to the finish. Having said that, they're starting to form a few splits already on this first climb.
Yeah, the chat before the race was that this group would stay nice and tight throughout the race as we go into the home for the very first time, into the Bree and Jay Vine show. And as we can see, Jay just sitting alongside Bree as he's getting warmed up for his race. It will start just after the ladies' race, and Bree sitting at the front of the pack as we speak. And she is looking very fast, very determined. As we've spoken about, she's been the one to watch throughout the entire series. And Jay has been a great support for her. He's been on the Instagram, he's been doing the behind the scenes, he's been doing the tactics, and he's been a great cheerleader for her. So it's been great to see the two of them work throughout the series.
We can't quite see it at the moment at the bottom of the screen with Jay, but I wonder if he's adjusting the fan to try and keep the cooling system as they go over the top of the climb. Bree Vine flying up the climb, but it's Keita from Japan who went across the top in first position. And a rider that you spoke about as we were just getting ourselves organised, Chelsea Holmes. Again, she's towards the front.
Yeah, Chelsea Holmes, she was fantastic in last week's race. She was actually third in last week's race 5, and was having a little bit of a look up with Chelsea Holmes and seeing what she's been up to. And as far as I can see, she's actually been one of the girls who's been competing. She was in Adelaide, and for the very first time since isolation started, Adelaide held a race. It was a climb, a pound road hill climb, and Chelsea actually took out that climb. So goes to show all the work she's been doing on Zwift over the last few weeks has been coming to the fruition, and congratulations to Chelsea for taking out that climb over the weekend in Adelaide.
She's transferring the indoor form outdoors nicely. Bree Vine momentarily, and Nicole Frayne, she's another rider that we've seen a lot of. This is a serious attack. She looks as if she's used a power up to try and get herself off the front and form a small gap. On her own, though, Rihanna, you know as well as anybody, whether you're racing against the best in the country or just racing against your friends, it's tough by yourself.
Yeah, she's gone out really hard here, Nicole Frayne, pushing out about 8 watts per kilo as she's gone on that attack. But she has got a really, really hungry pack chasing her down. And it's going to be really difficult as they just take her down now for Nicole Frayne to hold that. But it was really great to see Nicole taking it to the girls at the front there.
It's been broken up quite a bit. This group has been reduced a fair bit. This is the second group that we're on board with, and they find themselves at a deficit of 12 seconds. So they've got a fair bit of work to do to stand any chance to get back in contact. This is going to be some really tough work. And there's a couple of the younger riders of Australian cycling, including Francesca Sewell, looked as if she was part of that group. Back to the leaders and on board with the woman that you mentioned just moments ago, Hannah Ludwig, the German for the Canyon SRAM team, and understandably so, one of the riders from the World Tour level is in the front group. Rihanna, for her to front up to this race as a World Tour rider, she's putting a big target on her back.
Yeah, and as we can see, this group is staying really, really tight. So we know they're on the descent at the moment. The way this course works, they have that climb at the very beginning, right at the start of the race. There's the steep descent, and then there's a few rolling hills, and then there's a really, really quick sprint at the very end. So we know this is a really short, sharp race. As we've said, they've got 2 laps. It's about 200 meters of elevation in total throughout the entire course over the course of 18 kilometers. So as we predicted, it wouldn't break up too much, but this group here is staying really tight together, and they are going very, very quickly, nearly 60 kilometers an hour at the moment, this leading pack.
And there's around about 30 riders in the leading group. And in the second group, in the chase group at 13 seconds behind, Carly Taylor. She's represented Australia at World Championships. She's ridden for Lotto Soudal. She's ridden for Orica Green Edge when that was the sponsor. She's now a big part of the Zwift family, working back of house, helping you and I get ourselves organised. So we can be a little bit biased here and say, go Carly.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be cheering Carly on. She helps us a lot with everything that we do from a commentary point of view. So awesome to see Carly out there doing her bit and showing what she's got for our team.
I think there's something wrong with her heart rate monitor, because there is no way she's in this race in the second group at 105 beats per minute. No way.
She's just cruising along, doing it easy.
That one, maybe that's meant to be a 2 at the front. She spoke a couple of weeks ago about the coach Martin Barras going from doing sprint training with Anna Mears and then across to the road riders, and he thought that there might be something wrong with their power meters, because surely there's a digit missing. He was accustomed to seeing 4 figures as opposed to 3 when it came to sprinting.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, the numbers that we see from everyone in terms of wattages, in terms of times, in terms of kilometers per hour. You know, it's just incredible what we see from these ladies, from these athletes. And even listening to an interview that I saw today from Justine Barrows, she said that, you know, this is virtual racing, it's not real road racing, but even these girls, these athletes, a lot of them are getting PRs week in, week out. So, you know, they are improving on their times, they are improving on their power ups, they are improving on their watts. So, you know, this is serious stuff, and they're taking it very seriously. And it is obviously, as we saw from Chelsea and the results she got over the weekend, it is all contributing to their fitness, you know, during this time that they're unable to race, you know, on the road in real life.
Yeah, it's real life pain, it's real life lactic acid, and it's real life heart rates, and it's real life watts. So it is having a big benefit for riders then making the transition back to riding outdoors. And it's going to be really intriguing to see who can transform the form from racing on Zwift to racing out in the real world. And as you've mentioned, Chelsea Holmes, she's demonstrated that it's worked for her, and she's a rider that I'm keeping a really close eye on tonight. They've got 6.6 kilometres covered. We can see one of the arrows being used. There's a whole bunch of power-ups to be able to use. The arrow can be really important around them when it comes down to the final sprint finish.
Yeah, it's going to be all about timing, particularly on this second lap. It's very difficult to get that timing absolutely perfect, using your power-ups at the very perfect time. We've been given some information from, you know, our fellow guys here in the Zwift team that it is absolutely crucial to use your aero power up at the absolute perfect time in order to get yourself into that position perfectly towards the last lap. So it's going to be really crucial for the girls to position themselves perfectly in this peloton in the second lap and use your power ups just when you need them.
And good to see another one of our favourites, Jenny Pentonen. She's in this leading group. And we spoke about Carly Taylor just a moment ago and how hard she was or wasn't doing it in that second group. And I'm not convinced, Carly, that you're trying hard enough. You're clearly listening, because you've just sent a message on our group WhatsApp to say that I can confirm they went out hard. I'm in the chasing group with Lauren Kitchen, 23 seconds behind. She can't be going that hard if she can still send us messages, surely.
Well, there's no way I can send messages or talk or type or do anything when I'm on Zwift. So these girls, they've got a lot more ability than me, but they are pushing really, really hard. We just had some watts coming up from the girls in the front pack, Nicole Frame. They're pushing out some serious watts. Bree Wilson just then at 7 watts per kilo. So this lead group, they're working really, really hard to stay in this lead pack.
And there's quite a few riders in this lead group from Team Aero, which is a new esports team. They've done some good recruiting. They've got Bree Vine on their team. Bree Hargrave is there as well. Ayla Rugley is also on that team. It's a strong squad, and they've got good representation out in front. And I like the fact that we're getting teams for e-racing as well as teams out in the real world, but teams that are specifically targeting this format and this style of racing. And you've seen plenty of it in motorsport.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, while the world is currently on hold for real life racing and all sorts of, athletic prowess, people have really bought into this situation. They're using this platform, whether it be motorsport, whether it be cycling, whether it be, any other forms of sport. And people are buying in and they're taking it really seriously. As we've seen, for prime example, the Vine household, they've got the cameras set up, they're supporting each other, they're using their social media platform to the best of their ability to grow their brand and to grow their fan base. And I think it's awesome that, all of the athletes involved in this Zwift community have really, used this to their absolute advantage, and not only building their profiles and building their platform with their brand, but building, their athletic prowess while they are unable to race properly.
You know the series better than I do coming into it. You rode it last year. This is my first time covering it as we see them go through the finish line for the first time. Bell lap, one to go. That has been incredibly quick. I've really enjoyed getting to know a lot of the athletes through this platform that I otherwise wouldn't have had a chance to get to know. And the big takeout is the Vine show. Both Bree and Jay, they've been the stars of this platform so far, and I've really enjoyed the way they've worked together and the support for each other as one's racing, the other one's warming up or cooling down, and looking after each other in pursuit of victory. And here they are now, one warming up on the right, looking comfortable, the other one, you know that it's getting a little less comfortable when their head starts to go to one side.
Yeah, and once again, we see Jay on the Instagram. We saw him last week, and on the weekend, he was doing Instagram selfies and chatting Bree through her race. So it's real, and there he goes again. It's really cool to see. Carly, she was just giving the girls a one lap down, keep going, girls on the Zwift platform as well. So the support out there for everyone. They're competitors on track, but they're also really supportive of each other, which is really cool. And we also have to give a shout out to everyone that's competing and taking part in the SRAM series. We obviously focus on these elite athletes that are at the front, but there's so many more other people like myself who competed in the SRAM series last year. I don't want to say competed, I competed in the SRAM series last year. There's lots of other people that are just, having a go, competing against themselves as we see the girls take on this climb for the second time round and just having a go and, trying to better yourself each week, which is really cool to see. And everyone's sort of, sending it for someone, whether it be yourself, your mum, your dad, your husband, brother, wife, whatever it is. And yeah, awesome to see everyone having a go.
You've summed up exactly what Zwift is all about, participating and getting everybody involved. We're seeing a big attack by Bates as she's trying to go off the front. This is a reaction to the initial move that came from Bree Vine, as we've got Tully Lister, Go the Vines. It is the Vine show throughout the National Road Series and also in the SRAM Send It Series. Race number 6 of 8 races. So this is the third last race. And Rihanna, this move up the climb, Brie Wilson has responded. So too Nicole Frayne. They're causing a split. This is a big move.
Yeah, it is a big move. And as we know that you do need big moves in Zwift in order for them to last. We've seen a couple of times girls try to make a breakaway on these climbs and they haven't been able to make them stick because we know that chasing pack does come back at you very, very quickly. And Bates is going out really hard here. She's pushing out some serious watts, 332 watts, heart rate up at nearly 190 beats per minute. So that is some serious efforts to get herself up and over this climb. But Bree Vine, you can see as we're watching in her house, she is not letting her get away with anything right now. She is pushing really, really hard as she's starting to catch her now.
And she's leading the chase. She's got Nicole Frayne with her. She sits on the wheel as they go across the top of the climb. They've caused a really significant split. It's Lou Bates, Louise Bates, Bree Vine, Bree Wilson. Once again, it's the Brees who are at the front. It's been the name of the series so far, Bree in the women's racing.
And these girls are pushing hard. I mean, the first lap, they did it in just over 12 and a half minutes. So they are going incredibly fast. This is going to be an incredibly quick race. There's no time to rest at all in this race. They get those very quick descents, but the next hill comes just as quickly and their legs are going to be absolutely burning.
Here she comes. Dare I say it. Justine Barrow is on the attack. Can we mention her as a potential winner of the race?
We can, but look at that peloton just behind her. They are just a couple of seconds behind, so they won't be letting her get away too quickly. We saw Justine go for an attack last weekend, and she wasn't able to make it stick. This might be her weekend, but I don't think there is just enough climbing for Justine to be able to really take an advantage of what she loves, which is climbing. And just as I say that, the peloton has been able to grab hold of her and just sucked her back in as she's going there. So they're not able to really take an advantage of any of these climbs just yet, these ladies, and this peloton is just sticking together like glue at the moment.
But it is a significantly reduced group, and this is smaller than what I anticipated. We're down to 12 riders in this leading group, and amongst riders that are more than 1 minute behind, we've got Lauren Kitchen, Peter Mullins, they're off the back, so they're losing ground, and that shows the class of the leading group. This is Hannah Ludwig, the young German woman. She's just 20, 21 years of age. She was the continental champion, the under-23s of Europe last year. So she is a rider with a really big future. She's amongst the chasers. She's at around about 12 seconds behind. And this is Louise Bates, or Lou Bates, as she's listed on Zwift Power. She's still off the front by herself with a 10-second advantage. This is significant.
Yeah, this is the biggest gap we've seen in this race so far, and probably the biggest gap we've seen in the last couple of weeks across the series. Lou Bates, she's got an advantage, but Chelsea Holmes is bringing that down. It's sitting sort of 9-10 seconds at the moment, and it's really going to come down to this descent. See if the chasing pack can really chase her down. They're going to be going as quick as they can, trying to work as a group, trying to see if they can chase Lou Bates down as we just go into the house once again of Brie Viner. She goes into that tuck position, takes a little bit of a break, sucks in some air, tries to get as much air as she can, have a little bit of a rest before she gets her legs going again and tries to chase down this pack once more.
I only just learned about the tuck position last weekend, or the weekend just gone, in the National Road Series. And I saw Brie Vine doing exactly that, not pedaling at all. And I thought, oh no, disaster has struck. She's had either a mechanical problem or a technical problem. But no, she was just being really smart.
And here they come, chasing her down. Lou Bates, all of that work has just been undone as the group takes her back once again, and they are all back together once more.
So now she has to somehow work out recovery to give herself a chance in a potential sprint for stage honours, for race honours. 13 riders in this leading group, and Hannah Ludwig from the Canyon SRAM team, she is in the chasing group, leading that chasing group, which is at roughly... She's at 16 or 17 seconds behind. She's got Alana Forster with her, who we've seen really active in this series. Elizabeth Naspan is also in that chasing group. But I think our winner today, Rihanna, is going to come from this group of 12 riders.
Yeah, and we're seeing those same sort of names week in and week out at the moment. They've really sort of come to the top. The Brie Vine, Brie Wilson, Chelsea Holmes, the same sort of ladies that we seem to talk about week in and week out, where they're sitting in that group once again, and they're sitting strong. So I think it's going to be, amongst those top couple of ladies that we've talked about, Nicole Frayne once again. It's going to come down to a real sprint finish like we've talked about. Timing is going to be crucial.
It is. They know the course well. They've got just over 3 kilometres remaining. This has gone so quickly. We were anticipating that the race would maybe take 26 minutes. We might have underestimated them. It might be closer to 25 minutes. The pack is starting to group up together.
Yeah, they're going incredibly fast. We haven't really seen them drop under sort of that 40 kilometers per hour mark. They've been sitting, over 200 watts pretty much the entire time, and they haven't really had a chance to rest. They've been, pushing up those climbs, then they've been sitting in a fast pack. There's not really much of a chance in this short, sharp circuit to give those legs a bit of a break.
And Justine Barrow, who we've spoken about regularly throughout this series, she's up towards the front again as well. So she's the kind of rider, though, that in a sprint could go long range. And if she can use the power-ups just at the right time and get everything coordinated perfectly, this might be her night on a course where I actually didn't think she could win. So maybe that's a good omen for her.
It could very much be a good omen. We've picked her for all of the courses that we've sort of said had the long climbs or the big steep climbs, and we've sort of said they're the ones that are going to suit her. But maybe it's this one. Maybe this is her night.
It could very well be. Brevine, who leads the series, she's been so aggressive right from the very start. She is in this leading group. Katie Banerjee, who's another rider that we've seen a lot of. Likewise with Nicole Frayne. Brie Wilson, who rides for the Rock Salt Attacker team. She's been so good in the National Road Series. She's the leader of that series overall. She's towards the front of this group. She's another one to watch. She could be a big, big factor. But it is wide open. I have no idea who is going to win tonight.
Yeah, and you just have to look at the numbers that these ladies are pushing out. I mean, they're sitting 93 revolutions per minute, 100 and sort of nearly 100 beats per minute on the heart rate, and we're looking at nearly 300 watts. I mean, you cannot say that these girls are not working hard for their Tuesday night. These are incredible numbers. If anyone's sat on a Zwift or a cycling machine ever before and tried to punch out those kinds of numbers and had their heart rate sitting on those numbers, it's huge. That is, you're absolutely at your limit, your maximum expenditure. And these look now ticking over to 200 beats per minute. Chelsea Holmes, they're huge, huge numbers. You'd have to say that she is nearly at her absolute limit.
If she's not at her limit, she's got to be very, very close to it. Anything up until the 190s is high. She's at 203. They're down to 1 kilometre remaining. She's got herself towards the front. Brie Wilson is also there. Justine Barrow in with a big, big chance. This is going to be interesting to see who takes it out. Gigante, her name keeps popping up on the screen as well. She was the winner of the Tour of the Gila in June on Zwift just recently and the current Australian time trial champion, and she won the road race a year ago. Nicole Frayne up towards the front. Just a few hundred metres remaining, Rihanna, and I am still none the wiser as to who is going to take the win. Do you dare take a guess as who it will be?
Yeah, it's like picking the numbers for the lotto at the moment. There's just the numbers keep changing one after another. We've got Brevine, Chelsea Holmes, we've got Justine Barrow. They're all sitting up the front. Laura Luxford is up there as well. I think it's just going to come down to timing. Who can hold themselves to the very last moment? Who's going to use their aero power up when they need it at the absolute time? We're starting to see them right now, those aero power ups just getting used as we speak. It is going to come down to the last couple of 100 meters in this sprint finish. Brevine sitting at the front at the moment. Can she get it done?
And she's holding. She's still at the front, but she's now been overtaken. The power-ups have been used to really good effect. And it is Keita of Japan who's opened up a gap. Laura Luxford is in second position. It is Keita of Japan who takes the win. Luxford in second. Rönnqvist of Sweden in third position. So it has been an incredibly international top three. Japan, Australia, and Sweden represented in the top three. That's extraordinary. Also up there was Sarah Gigante making her first appearance this year in the SRAM Send It Series. This is the second group that we're looking at now, and this is a world-class international group. Taryn Heather is in the group, so too is Hannah Ludwig. But Rihanna, that sprint happened so quickly that it all just unfolded, and they were across the line before we really even got a chance to nail them going across the line. It was a fast, fast race.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said, it was going to be all about timing and using those power-ups just perfectly, crucially getting them done when they absolutely needed to. But how exciting to have such a wealth of international athletes competing tonight and seeing some different names on the podium.
Well, the result sheet is saying that it was Laura Luxford who went across the line in first position, followed by Lou Bates, who was so aggressive, then Chelsea Holmes, followed by Louise Rönnqvist of Sweden, then Brie Wilson. Next in line was Cindy Zhang of China, followed by the series leader Brevine. Sarah Gigante was in 8th spot, Katie Banerjee in 9th position, and Justine Barrow, she rounded out the top 10. But most importantly tonight, Rihanna, Brie Vine, she maintains her lead in the series overall with 2 races to go in the SRAM Send It Series.
Yeah, she'll be really happy with that. I know it's important for her to maintain that GC series lead. She'll probably be a little bit disappointed that maybe she went just half a second too early on that sprint, used her power up maybe that little bit too early, but what an exciting finish, what an exciting race, and how great to see Laura Luxford take a victory in this series. That's very cool for her.
Well, both the Luxford sisters, we've seen a lot of them up towards the front. And I imagine you'd be familiar with Annabelle Luxford from her work as a triathlete. That's where I've been accustomed to seeing her mainly.
Yeah, she's had an incredible athlete career in triathlon. She's done some amazing things. She's been to the Commonwealth Games. She's won world championship medals, and now to be competitively in this cycling as well. So really cool to see Annabelle Luxford there in the Zwift series, and great to see the sisters competing side by side with each other, as I'm sure there's some very interesting debriefs that go on after the races.
The other thing that was really good to see was the World Tour riders, Hannah Ludwig, who you mentioned really early on, Lauren Kitchen in there as well. Plus, we saw the likes of Peter Mullins, who's a former Australian road champion. Sarah Gigante was up towards the front. So the SRAM Send It Series has brought together some international stars of the sport, which has been nice for us to watch.
Yeah, and what I think that's what the SRAM series has been able to do. It's been able to open this Zwift platform up to not only, just the regular Zwift competitors like myself who just like to get on for a bit of fitness, but we've opening this series up to international competitors all over the world. You've got people from all over Australia, people from, international, like we saw Japan, China, Belgium. We've got riders from everywhere, and they're all competing together in a race, even though we're, all currently going through this really difficult time. So what a way that we can all sort of come together as a community and enjoy some cycling.
And for anybody who rides all 8 of the races, whether you finish first or last, you all go into the draw to win one of 2 group sets. It's the SRAM Force eTap AXS disc group set, which I've had a chance to use SRAM for the first time this week. Actually been loaned a bike by Zwift, and I've been able to use the SRAM eTap for the first time, and I kind of like it. It's pretty cool.
So no doubt your watts have increased, your FTP has gone up a little bit with that one.
You cannot blame your equipment. That's what they say, don't they, about a good tradesperson? The equipment's not going to help me. I just enjoy it more.
That's the right line to say.
Yeah, it has been good fun. So we've got 2 more races to go. Brie Vine is at the top of the table. Can you see anybody challenging her from here?
She seems to be getting stronger and stronger each week, and no doubt, she's riding on a really high level of confidence at the moment. She's doing so well in both the NRS series and, of course, the SRAM series. So I think, fingers crossed that nothing goes wrong in terms of, mechanical stuff or technical stuff. And I think that, it's going to be really difficult for anyone to beat her for the rest of the series.
Yeah, I certainly tend to agree with you. Well, we'll catch up again next week for race number 7 in the SRAM Send It series. Enjoy your riding on Zwift, Rihanna. Ride on.
Yeah, you too, Matt. We'll see you then.
Stick with us. Coming up next, it'll be the men's race with Pat Shaw joining me. Hello and welcome to the SRAM Send It Series. Matthew Keenan with you, joined by Pat Shaw. It's race number 6 of 8, and it's around the Wartopia Hilly Circuit, one that lots of the riders will know really, really well. Pat, in the women's race, it broke up a lot more than what I anticipated. I'm sure plenty of the men will have been watching, and the climbers, such as Mark O'Brien, will be thinking, okay, let's go, let's attack.
Yeah, probably not a climb I'd put down for Mark, though. It's actually very short. It's about a minute and a half effort for the men when they flubbed the climb. It was an active race for the women. But this is one for the old schoolers, because this is where a lot of my Zwift racing took place in the early seasons of the eCrit series that used to be on for the KISS eCrit series, which really launched e-racing in Australia. So I'm interested to see how it all happens tonight. And when we look at the King of the Mountain times on that first hill, which is about 900 metres at about 4.9%, it is around 1 minute 28, the fastest time. Brad Norton has that, and that's his KOM in this group of riders. So he's the fastest rider on the start line on the climb. But our man Grizzly Frizzly 2 minutes and 22 seconds, his best time. He's going to need to go better than that if he wants to be front group tonight.
Yeah, that will drop for Graham Frisley. Let's take a look at the overall standing. It's the Vine show that rolls on through the women's race and the men's race because Jay Vine leads. He's got himself an 11-point buffer over the Kiwi, Ollie Jones. It's then the guy that you just spoke about. For the Aussie Hump Day ride, Graham Frisley in third position, a big chance tonight. Then the Austrian, Stefan Kirkmar in fourth place, followed by Tom Benton from Inform Make. He's been really impressive. Freddie Ovett, consistent without a victory. Alistair Christie Johnson, he's also ridden really well in the National Road Series. Nick White, your man up in Ballarat. Last week's winner, Mark O'Brien, with that brilliant late attack. And the Kiwi, Alex West, rounding out the top 10. Jay Vine has a good lead, but it's a long way from being over with 3 races still to come, including tonight, Pat.
Yeah, he's great. Got great pedigree, though, Matt. And I think tonight's course still suits him quite well. Timing with your aero power up in the finish is going to be crucial. But we must also highlight Freddie Ovett. He was phenomenal last week. I know that Mark O'Brien took the victory, but the turn of pace and the injection of watts that Freddie Ovett did on the main climb was absolutely exceptional. And I took that away knowing that he's going to be here tonight to do something similar. The big part is they're out of the pens, Matt. It's all started, but it's not very far from the pens to the climb for the first time because they don't come all the way from the village. The village is just to the right, a little further down. So they get to the climb really early. So good positioning, A. And I tell you, if you had a power up that you got in the warm-up, that wouldn't be too bad either.
Yeah, and we're seeing a super aggressive start, which, as you mentioned, is no surprise at all. And the race, just as we see in the real world, is already strung out in single file. The pressure is seriously on at the front of the race.
Yeah, none of the familiar faces at this moment in this front selection of the race, but certainly this is all going to pitter-patter out in just moments' time because we take this right-hand turn. Well, it's not even really a turn, it's more of a curve. We'll head over the bridge and start the King of the Mountain climb. And as I said, it's only short. It's going to be about 1 minute and 30 seconds. But the most difficult thing about this course is it's so fast on the backside after the top of the climb that you can easily drop off the back. So they're on that climb already, Matt, and it is starting to already ramp up the wattage.
Yeah, we're making our way forward. What I like about this is the number on the right-hand side, 463 riders taking to the start line today, Pat. And if they ride all 8 of the races in the SRAM Send It Series, they go into the draw to win one of 2 SRAM Force eTap AXS disc group sets with a pair of brand new Zipp 303 S wheel set. And the name that is popping up towards the front and putting the pressure on is Jay Vine. Just as we saw in the women's race, it was Bree Vine. In the men's race, it's Jay Vine. And life at the back is a little tough. Back in 410th position, the pressure is really on at the front and the race is being torn apart.
Yes, well, at the front it is Vine that was being aggressive, but you can see this long line of riders, and this is a great sign from the series to almost have 500 subscribers for the men's event tonight. And the SRAM Send It Series, although we do focus on the live stream on the front of the race, if you like, there are so many people coming in each and every week along with their teammates. They've made teams on Zwift Power, and we urge them to pop in the chat and say g'day. But it's fantastic to see over 450 riders taken to the start tonight. And as you said, if you do complete all of the 8 rounds, you go into the draw to get that great SRAM AXS Groupset. And I know you've just started trialling a set at the moment of the eTap Groupset, but I have actually spent 12 months on it, and it is a phenomenal Groupset, and one in which has caused me no issues. Look at all the power-ups, ping, pang, pum. Awesome. They're all getting them used on the descent here, Matt, because they know that saving the energy for the finish is crucial.
You beat me to the punch with the power-ups. So on board with Ollie Jones, the Kiwi, who's well placed in the series overall at just 11 points off the leader, Jay Vine. And Ollie Jones, I think the course suits Ollie Jones tonight. He could be the guy to beat.
Yeah, well, Ollie Jones sort of if you like, he found his craft on these types of circuits. As I said, this is one for the old schoolers because this is where a lot of the racing was in the early days. We race on Watopia around the hilly circuit, or you'd race around Watopia in the volcano. So some strong group of riders here. It's great to see Alex Lack up there from GPM Stalls as well. Zach Johnson, who's really started to return to the e-racing as well. It's great to see him up there. And Freddie Ovett, who we spoke about just before the start, he's right up there as well. And I can see him causing some pain for the front group later on. Still 50-odd riders in this front group though, Matt. So it's a significant sized group.
It is a big group, and take a look at Jay Vine. We can see his numbers. His heart rate is 157. He's out of the saddle stretching the legs. His watts are to the mid 300 mark. He showed some footage via his social media channel as part of the Vine show after the National Road Race Series on Saturday, and he showed what it's like to be riding at close to 500 watts for 5 minutes, and it didn't look oh so pretty. It looked really, really painful.
Yeah, well, it is painful. It's always going to be painful at that sort of power. And I've spoken to guys about a lot of people that are competing, and they're like, oh, I'm only in the top 20. And I said, well, wait till you go outdoors. I mean, you've got all this power that you've learned to produce at basically threshold. And as we see riders in the tuck, as we're over the 58 kilometres an hour, Matt, if you freewheel when you're over 58 kilometres an hour, your avatar will automatically take the tuck position. As we start to get some questions through on the Facebook page, and it's Wes himself. He wants to know who my dark horse is for tonight. Well, my dark horse for tonight, a rider that's always done fairly strongly on this course, is Liam White. He was third 2 weeks ago in the SRAM Send It Series, and I think he can get the job done.
I imagine that Wes will be on board with the Frizzly show because Graham Frizzly is his man. This is Liam White who we're looking at, along with Nick, who's just off in the corner. And a special shout out to Tim Sewell, who actually asked a really good question. He's the man that heads up the Aussie Hump Day Ride crew. And although this is an old course, one of the original courses, there's probably quite a few guys, as he points out, that aren't familiar with this course. So it will be new to a lot of them.
Certainly. And Matt, on the second lap, as he alludes to, the second climb, that's one part of it. But also there's other segments to this course, particularly in the last 2 kilometres. There's some launch pads, and if you've got good legs, you can get away. And who knows, it might be your man Carswell tonight. Maybe he can be the surprise packet. Wow, hasn't he been really impressive across this series? And it's probably a little bit of a dommage, as the French would say, that we haven't been able to see him in the National Road Series competition.
Yeah, we will, though, in the future, I'm sure. Special shout out to Tim and the rest of the Aussie Hump Day crew ride. I did my first one on Sunday. They dominate the start list here, incidentally, in the SRAM Send It Series. I think they've got about 15 riders listed as the Aussie Hump Day ride crew. I did the ride for the first time on Sunday. It was about 82, 84 kilometres, and Pat, I had an absolute ball. The after party was brutal. It nearly buckled me, but I felt more comfortable on the couch afterwards and guilt-free as well. But the atmosphere within the group, it really came through the app. It came through Zwift, and it was fantastic fun. So thanks to Tim and all of his team.
Oh, and certainly, and also join them on a Wednesday night for a bit of a shorter one, Matt, which is a lot of fun as well. So there's, for those that don't know a lot about the ride, there is a limit to the power watts per kilo that you can produce. So it's really close to a non-drop in a lot of ways. So I think it's 2 watts per kilo. And then the after party, which is the final segment of the ride, which is a race, but you can also just stay together as a group and ride to the finish line. So it's a lot of fun for everyone as they go into the banner there for the sprint. A lot of the riders now pick up a new power-up. And for those that don't know about the power-ups, the Aero power-up is the Aero helmet, which will make you more aerodynamic for 15 seconds. The truck that we see, or the van that we see above the riders right now, that's called the draft bonus power-up, and that increases the draft effect by 50% for the next 30 seconds for those riders. There's the breakaway burrito, makes you undraftable for 10 seconds. The lightweight, which would be handy on the climb this second time around, which reduces your weight by 9.5 kilograms for 15 seconds. And the latest addition to the power-ups, the invisibility, which is the color of a ghost, and it comes above the riders like the other power-ups, and it will make you invisible to other riders for 10 seconds.
I'm expecting to see plenty of aggression and use of those power-ups after they go through the finish line. This time they get the bell and then onto the climb once again. We're on board with Johnson up towards the front, who's punching out some 300 watts. Even more than that, a little rise in the road here. We can see there's plenty of efforts being made at the front, Pat, with riders trying to force some sort of a split. They don't want to bring it down to a sprint finish and go head-to-head with Graham Frisley or Ollie Jones. And that's smart riding. They'll be hard to beat in a sprint, so try and get away from them.
Yeah, well, Zach Johnson has got good knowledge of this course, that's for sure. So he knows where he's at. But right now we go and looking at Devola and Sullivan. They're trying to get back onto this group, and this is not a good place to be, unfortunately, for Sullivan. But now in the main pack, and in there as well, it's great to see some of the younger riders again. Matt, we spoke about Carswell, but also Dalton Stratton in there for Team Aero, which they had a great performance from their women's side of the team. They're a new team to E-Racing, and it's Tully Lister that leads up the team. They've got some good signings in the men's as well. Jay Vine, Nick White, just a few.
Yeah, it's a strong contingent. Nate Fulcher has just given us the word, some good advice that the chop with the AHDR crew is a fun race that will give me plenty of guilt-free time on the couch afterwards. I'm anticipating that means, Pat, it's really hard.
Matt, I actually reckon the chop would be a good race for you to do. It's a graded handicap system, and it's a lot of fun. And Nathan and myself, who produces this broadcast for us tonight, we've covered it on several occasions as well, and it is a great event. So the chop is an A, B, C, D race, and they time gap it to make it a handicap, much like our great races we've had in Australia and a lot of our classics. And I reckon that's one for you to do. I think it's on a Thursday night, and you'll see plenty of the guys we're looking at right now off scratch or A grade, but they give up to 15 minutes head start to the D graders, and it's an exceptionally good race to watch.
Well, they're onto the second lap, and if I do it, it sounds like I'll have to clear my calendar for Friday morning. Good to see Tommy Ing in the race, and Tommy Ing is in the race and up towards the front. He's going to dedicate the ride to Mac Larkin. He's in hospital, and they almost lost him earlier on, so he's dedicating the ride to Mac. Good luck, Tommy, in contention, riding really strongly, and he is super active on this platform. You can take a look at some of the numbers from that climb, Pat. You can see there was a minute and 30 seconds was pretty consistent to be anywhere near the front, and 1:24 was the fastest time up there.
Well, they're going early here and on the front, already out of the seat avatar, which suggests 9 or more watts per kilo. So significant power being pushed on the front of the group as they go to the base of the climb.
Yeah, indeed. And we can see Alex Lack, who skipped last week's ride because he had a test to do on the Wednesday, and now he's back, and he's back with big numbers, out over 7 watts per kilo, looking to really put the pressure on. This is some strong riding by the Kiwi up at the front of the group. Stretching it out, Ollie Jones, another one of the Kiwis from Oliver's Real Food Racing. He's also towards the front. The new dad from South Africa, one of our favourites in the series, Gary Mueller now, is opening up the gap. He's out at over 8.5 watts per kilo. They're trying to close it down, and power-ups are bursting out all over the screen.
Yes, the lightweight power-up, and we spoke about power-ups just a moment ago. The lightweight was always going to be effective right now. Reduces your body weight by 9.5 kilograms or 21 pounds for those in America, and it looks like this is really actually starting to stretch the field out. This is now the hardest part, Matt. You've done about 45 seconds of the climb. You're now going to the second section, which kicks up to 8%, and then it'll plateau over the top. But it's who can keep going all the way. Live cam looks good. We can see Nick and Liam White drawing in the big breaths, 300 metres from the top, and still we're in the orange numbers.
Yeah, the Whites, Nick White and Liam White, they are really in the pain cave. It's no longer the garage. They've got the whipper-snipper power-up that's still at the top of the garage for them to draw on if they absolutely have to. But at the moment, Liam White at 600 watts, 185 beats per minute. He's not worried about the lawn mowing that needs to be done tomorrow. He's just trying to survive in this group, and he's still there across the top of the climb.
Oh, and it has shredded this group to pieces. Maybe 25, maybe less still in this group, and it'll be difficult for the group behind to catch back up. It's just such a hard chase on this course. They roll down the backside. You can see the riders in the group starting to back it off a little bit. Look at Jay Vine just soft pedaling there after taking the fastest time up the climb. That's the dotted jersey next to him, the polka dot jersey. And that was no mucking around, Matt. But Jay Vine, 169 beats per minute. He looks like a very, very strong favourite for tonight's race.
And 1 minute and 24 seconds on the climb. Freddie Ovett was the next best. Kirkmar was in third position, then Johnson, followed by Mueller. And then in sixth place, what's that name, Pat? Sixth position up the climb?
Mr. Carswell, he's going well. I tell you what, Matt, anytime you go under 1 minute 30 on that climb, that is flying. And they have gone almost 5 seconds at the front under that minute 30. So that is absolutely huge. A rider moving off the front now, Zach Johnson. As I said, he's a bit old school. He knows this course, and he knows he wants to keep the pressure on so that second group doesn't come back. His gap out to 3 seconds, Matt. And he is an aggressive rider, although not really known for his sprinting.
Also, this is the sort of strategy he needs to use. And you can see the power-ups in amongst the chasers. Jack Carswell is up towards the front. Mark O'Brien as well. Mark O'Brien went long range last week. And O'Brien, is that he on the attack again? It is Marco. Marco the Magnificent launches another vicious attack.
Yes, but it doesn't seem to be really stretching them out. You're going to have to get into those orange numbers if you want to stretch it out. And it looks like your man Carswell, he's coming across. He wants a piece of the Mark O'Brien. And also coming through as well, Zach Johnson back again, super aggressive. And this is good to see. He's back to his best.
This is magnificent racing. It might not be a sprint finish because they're all on their hands and knees with the amount of aggression. Johnson, O'Brien, Carswell. Mueller is also looking for his opportunities to attack. Kirkmar, the Austrian, he's been super aggressive, and the tuck is in play.
Matt Stacey liked your whippersnipper power up, Matt Keenan, and it's got some really nice emotions on Facebook. Send through your messages if you wish us to answer your questions. One thing I'd like to just quickly make an announcement of, it's not too far away till our man and great friend and co-commentator in the real life, Matt Keenan, in Dave McKenzie, tackles the virtual race across America, and I really just want to wish him all the best, but also remind people that they can make donations for David, who he is doing it for a special cause, and we today pledge $500 as the shop, so we will continue to support him. He's been a great friend of ours in the commentary box, and we wish him all the best.
Fantastic. A guy who famously won that stage 7, the Giro d'Italia, the year 2000, with a big solo breakaway, but the virtual race across America, he's looking at 4,700 kilometres. Good luck, Macca. Back to this race. It is the SRAM Send It Series, Zwift at its very best, with racing just before dinner for me, Pat. And it is Zach Johnson who is the appetizer. And he is wetting my lips because this is brilliant racing by Johnson.
Yes, and look how he just consistently pushes those orange numbers. He's done this before, and he's a little bit sneaky in this way. This is really how he crafts his way to victory. He does it in a difficult manner, and it is notable. He has never really taken an easy victory. He always goes out aggressive. He's got a good partner in crime, though. Mark O'Brien, winner last week, wants a bit more success. I tell you what, Matt Keenan, both not really known for their sprinting. If they were to go to the line together, it could be an interesting duel.
Mark O'Brien has joked about being beaten by his shadow in a sprint finish. That's how much confidence he's got in his own sprinting. That's why he goes on the attack, and that's what makes him entertaining to watch. And that's exactly what he's doing now. He's off the front with Johnson.
Yes, 4 seconds, 4 to 5 seconds keeps opening up. Robertson trying to force the pace from the group. But these two are going to be really difficult to control here. And what happens now is you've got only a limited amount of kilometres to the finish. and any useless waste of energy will cost you today's race. And the two that are really going to be interesting, Alex West and also Ollie Jones, both ride for the same Canyon team on Zwift, and both Kiwis. They'll be looking to upset the apple cart for the Aussies tonight.
And Graham Frisley, he's in this group. He's got the Wes Salzberger scholarship, so he's got full support of Wes. He's in this group, and we've hardly seen him at the front. I'm reading Robbie McEwen's book at the moment, Pat, and he talks about his big thing was making sure he saved as much energy as possible so he could launch that final sprint. Well, Frisley is channeling his inner McEwen, and he's doing it brilliantly.
Just about to do the S's here, and a lot of riders wouldn't even know what they are because they don't do a lot of riding on this course anymore. But there is attacks coming now, more orange numbers, and you're right, he hasn't seen a lot, Graham Frisley. Could be one to look for the finish. Also good to see Mike Cumming in there as well, one of the ex-pros, and it's great to see Mike out there. He finished his career in Australia, so a big shout out to Mike, and nice to see him out there having a race. Kirkmar still strong, looks good too, but it's Hopkins that's off the front now. Mark O'Brien and Zach Johnson, they have gone to second fiddle, and it is Hopkins who is surging to the front for the Aussie Hump Day Riders group.
And he's opened up a little gap. He's got around about 3 seconds on the main part of the chasers, 4 seconds, in fact, back to Gary Mueller. But you can see, and Wes sent a message to us just a moment ago, reminding us about the lumps coming through towards the finish and these attacks that are on the charge. He has forecasted to perfection.
Yeah, and this is really tough because you've got these accelerations that really stretch you out, but it's all going to be about who's got the aero power up. And I think anyone that's in this group is a chance for victory if they time it to perfection. Mark O'Brien's chances, I think they're done for tonight, but I'll stick with it. There's Liam White, Nick White. There's some fast sprinters here as well. Certainly Grizzly Frisley. And it's going to be quick for Kirkmar also. So there's some really fast guys here, and it's going to be a good sprint to the line.
We're inside the last kilometre. Special mention as well for Ryan Troll. He's in the under-17 category, and he is still in this group, and he is still in contention. Jay Vine has got himself in a reasonable spot. He's up towards the front. The numbers are going to have to start to increase. He's anticipating the sprint. Liam White for the Aussie Hump Day ride. He's got himself in a reasonably good spot as well. Now we're seeing some early moves, Pat. They are going long range, but the battle for positions towards the front, Liam White has got himself towards the head of the race. Jack Carswell, Kid Carswell, the Kiwi, he's also in contention. Here comes Graham Frisley. He's been a winner before. He could be the winner again. Thrall it is. He's the under-17. He's got himself off the front with a handy little gap. The big reaction is coming. Carswell is chasing. It is the Hump Day Ride crew coming through to the front. On the line, it is the Austrian, perhaps. Kirkmar is almost there. Wait for the photo. It looks like it could be Nick White or Stefan Kirkmar to take the victory, but that was incredibly tight on the finish.
Kirkmar, White, Frisley, and Jones. 4 very, very strong riders. That's your top 4, and they have fought it out with perfect timing, use of the aero power up, and a huge shout out on the Facebook chat to Nate Fulcher, because he said don't want to be sprinting against Kirkmar. Well, I think he's nailed it, because Kirkmar, he just got that little bit of a better draft off Thrall and Sordell, I think it was, from USA, and he just came straight past. Perfect timing. And although the momentum was with White and also Frisley, the momentum was there, but the distance was too late. And Kirkmar has taken out a very solid win, and he's been one of our favourites to watch for quite a few weeks now. So big win for Kirkmar. White just over the top of Frisley on the line, and just half a bike length short, and then Ollie Jones with that really strong run to the line. Mike Cumming tops out the top 5 with Cooper Sayers, who's been a strong performer in both the SRAM Send It Series and National Road Series, in 6th.
Well, there it is. Stefan Kirkmar taking the win. Nick White in second position. Graham Frisley, it is in third place, followed then by Ollie Jones. Mike Cummins, the next best. Cooper Sayers in sixth. Ryan Dowdall in seventh place. Gary Mueller, the recent father, in eighth position. Christo Ball in ninth. And then Ryan Troll in 10th position. Pat, this is a kid. I've been excited about Jack Carswell, but Ryan is still in the under 17s. That is a super performance by Ryan.
Oh yeah, it's a huge performance, all right. And also, there was three under 17s in that finishing group of 20 riders, so that was fantastic to see.
Yeah, it was this awesome win. And Kirkmar, last week, he was so close. He just got the timing wrong in terms of trying to chase down Mark O'Brien. So second and now a first. And in terms of the overall standings, he gets ever so slightly closer to Jay Vine. He started today in fourth place in the overall standings. He now moves up into, I just have to look at the calculations, about second place. Does he go up into the first place? Not quite up into first. He goes into second position, I think. 1 point off for Jay Vine.
Yeah, I knew it'd be very close because the problem with Jay, unfortunately, tonight, he's missed that top 10 positions, and that really hurts. And when you're doing a series, it's all about who is the most consistent. And Kirkmar, you could have a look at that course last week, Matt Keenan. That is a climber's course, and he was very strong there. Tonight, okay, it's more of an undulating course because the climb's only a minute and a half. But Kirkmar, he came out on top. He showed he was strong, and he looks like he's ready to do business the next 2 weeks to fight it tooth and nail all the way to the line with Jay Vine.
So in the women's, it's Brevine with a commanding lead, but Jay Vine is going to be a slightly more nervous sleep tonight because his advantage has been reduced significantly, and Stefan Kirkmar has been really consistent across the past 2 weeks. What do you expect to see in the final 2 weeks of racing in the SRAM Send It Series?
Well, the difficult thing for Jay Vine is he's also got the National Road Series to focus on, and really he's got to be one of the big favourites for the Bologna individual time trial in 2 weeks. So I think for Jay, he's just got to be a bit careful. He's not spreading the butter too thin, Matt Keenan. And as far as Kirkmar's concerned, we're going to see him flying all the time. He's been in really good form for quite a few months now, and I don't expect to see that back off. So it's going to be interesting there. In the women's racing, Brie Vine, she's been a level above. She's been so far more consistent than anyone else. But I'd love to see the return of Hayley Fuller and some of the younger girls having a go against this National Road Series quality in the final 2 weeks of the SRAM Send It Series. And also welcoming back everyone that's done the first 6, Matt. Let's drive it home for 8 fulfillment and 8 finished results for the SRAM Send It Series. And someone out there is going to get those lucky prize packs.
Yeah, it's the SRAM Send It Series. You don't have to win the series to go in to be a chance to win one of 2 SRAM group sets. It's the eTap AXS disc group set along with a pair of the brand new Zipp 303S wheel set. We saw at the back of the race today, there was more than 400 riders in the men's race. There was close to 200 in the women's race. We've got 2 races to go, Pat. It's still the Vine Show. Bree with a comfortable lead. Jay is under some serious pressure. I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks, Pat.
Oh, for sure. And like last year, this was a great series, and I look forward to it winding up over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll start to see who takes it out for the second year.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Continue to plug away on Zwift, ride on, and we'll see you next week for race number 7 in the SRAM Send It Series.